This is the Matters of Influence podcast, creating awareness and alignment today to become your best self tomorrow. With your hosts, Debbie Frapp and Terry Foster Nowland.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, everyone. We are really excited to just. I am excited to give some representation to a woman that probably changed many lives other than just mine and Debbie. And we got to just visit with her a little bit. So I want to get started and introduce Cheiri Lowrey. Cheiri is president and CEO of Unlimited Potential Inc. I think I've always called it Up Inc. I don't know if that's even right, Cheiri, but
that is correct.
This is correct. Okay, perfect. Cheiri brings years of leadership experience, consulting, coaching. Like I said, she's touched Debbie's life, my life in many, many ways. We wouldn't be the leaders we are right now without her. And her background includes 16 years of telecommunications in the telecommunications industry with AT&T and Bell South. I just want to name some clients that she has worked with, because many of you all will connect just because I read these things. They include or have included Keller Williams, Ashford Advisors, Bank of North Georgia, Samson Industries, which I'm very familiar with here in Oklahoma, Coca-Cola, Bell South, Invest Holdings, and she has other businesses. She is a writer. She's in the who's who of American women. So we are excited to have her here. I think in her book, You Are Unstoppable, she's recorded that she's done over 30,000 hours of coaching, and I think it's probably like triple that, Cheiri. I don't know. You'd have to be the one to confirm that. But, her focus is you are unstoppable. So we're going to focus on that today, Debbie. And so what's the name of this podcast?
Being Unstoppable Matters.
Absolutely.
I love it.
All right. So let's roll.
All right. So I have a question for you, Cheiri, as we get started, because it's the well, I don't know if it's really the subtitle, but what captured me whenever I first looked at the cover of your book, You Are Unstoppable. And then down below it says a word book / workbook. Now, one of the things that I know that you taught me is that the words we use do matter. And I just found that fascinating, and would love to just know kind of what inspired you to name it that, because I know that was very purposeful.
You're talking about You Are Unstoppable, right?
Yes.
The word book versus the whole thing.
Yeah.
Debbie, my purpose is about causing people to live their dreams and turn their dreams into unstoppable peak performance and results. And because we get to work with such wonderful performers, that whole process of understanding how to take people wherever they want to go is more than intriguing to me. I love it. And I love to work with people who have a heart for the world. And so I wanted this book to be about implanting the word unstoppable and all of the components of being unstoppable in people's brain. Because I know that once you think that way, we're halfway there, right?
Absolutely.
So I also wanted it to be a workbook because you have to engage with these principles. It's not just about working harder. It's about working smarter and how you do it. And I put this together based on working with people like you guys. I learned it from you.
Well, I can tell you that when I got first of all, Terry and I both could not wait to order the book when we saw that you had done it. We could not wait. And I think there were several conversations we had where I was like, I remember when we did this. And so it was fun to kind of see all of the areas and the things that you influenced both Terry and I, and to see it in print and to be able to, I don't know, just it was incredible. We've already talked about, one of the most impactful pages that Terry experienced.
Mhm.
So, in the very beginning, you talk about the up zone. Is that kind of the foundational piece of everything? Is that up zone? And if you could describe what it means, what is the up zone all about?
Well, to me, upzone is about where you put the key parts of the foundation, like your purpose, what you want in your future, personally, professionally, and financially. You have a strong finance. Those key things are in place, and that is when you start putting those key things. And I think there are 8 key components of it.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the things that cause you. I just can't stop you. There's no way you can be stopped. There's an energy with that. And I know you two know because you're shaking your head. You can't stop a person who's activated that. And that's what I like in coaching to create with people, because it's that power that has them achieve the miraculous, in my opinion.
Wow. I love the words you just used, activate.
Mhm.
It's, I don't know, I guess the image that came to mind for me is waking something up within you. And I think that's one of the things that I think you've done in your coaching, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And in
It's
those
so
8 key
exciting
areas.
to do that. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh no, I was just going to say, in those 8 key areas, if you get someone ignited in any one of those 8 key areas, then the rest of their life will probably expand to that, right? The other areas will follow once they experience success in one of those key areas.
I think it opens the door, Terry. I think it opens the door to it. Everybody's a little bit different. So I'm always looking at, and I think that coaches always have a game plan. They have a way to get people where they need to go. So, and of course, the coaching client has their own agenda. And I think it's our job to plug these things in as we go. So I think that one area can open it. And I found that purpose is my biggest, seems to be the one that works the best for me, that they understand their purpose.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be the foundational piece for everything.
Yeah.
Because once that's activated and there's a dream around it, then you have empowered them so much that they want to know all the rest of it.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Because they're probably going to run into it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I like that, and that purpose being it. Would it be helpful to kind of name these 8 up zone components as we
Sure.
and just kind of highlight those? So, and this is on page, I guess, 11 of your book. If anybody wants to follow along, because you need this book. So you've got life plan defined, life purpose embraced, and I love that you put embraced in there. Is that the connection to the dream, Cheiri?
Yes. A lot of people write down things that they want, but I want to know that this is this person, that they would go to the wall and over the wall to have it. So that's what I'm talking about. And when it's entwined with the purpose and the true dreams, maybe things they've never said to anybody out loud, if that's on paper, I'm going to have a hard time stopping them, right? Because they want it.
Right.
That's the energy I'm looking for.
Yeah, that's so cool. So the second one is breakthrough technology implemented. Now, of course, my brain at first, when I first read that, I was curious because I was like, oh, what tech do I need? And it's a little bit more than that. So you want to there's a lot in this one whenever I was going through the book. So give us an overview of what you mean by breakthrough technology implemented.
Well, I talk about in this section that Seth Godin talks about linchpins. And that's what we're creating, linchpins, people who love what they're doing. They're passionate about it. You can't stop them. And in that, he said that there's only one thing that stops them. It's their persistence. They just they get tired. They just can't keep it up. So I started doing some research about how do I cause people to know how to get through and break through. What are the laws of breakthrough? And I don't know about you, and I was researching that because I wanted them to have techniques and all kinds of things to break through. And that's what these laws are about. Because I had a person who, and I think this is true of all performers, they just work harder.
Yeah.
And they've always broken through that way. But there is a point on a performer where they're not going to be able to break through, no matter how hard they work. And it's the keys to that breakthrough that I wanted them to have. And it's different for everybody. But for example, one of my breakthrough laws is that the timing in breakthrough is different. It's not action results. Think about it. It's action, action, action result.
Yeah.
So if you're beating yourself up because you aren't getting the results, I think you have to understand that this is a different time zone. It's a slow-mo time zone. And you have to, and that's, even when I coach people, I get myself in that time zone because it's different. And if you're over here saying, I should be through, you're only delaying yourself.
Yeah.
So it's understanding that time zone. It's just different. It's action, 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 result. I can't get locked into it.
Oh, that is so powerful, because I think we live in a culture and a society in which we look for immediate gratification, right? You're hungry, go to the drive-through. You need money, go to an ATM. You need, you got a headache, go take something. Like we're almost inundated with that action result kind of mindset. So I think that's so powerful. I hope people will pay attention to that action result.
Yeah.
And I do some visuals so they can see it. You just have to keep putting that in front of people. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, and you've got to create the ability for them to be patient with the process. We see that as we coach people, right? They want the results tomorrow. I may or may not be one of those people, but it's action, action, action.
I am. I don't know about you. That's why I have to say, okay, we're in the breakthrough zone. That's a different timing.
Yeah.
And if you when you step into that, then you don't waste time beating yourself up because you haven't broken through. And so, believe me, when I was doing this and working through this with people, I was learning a lot as a coach and also as a person who likes to achieve a lot at the same time. So,
yeah.
But I learned it's high performers performing. People who really want to perform is where I got a lot of this.
Yeah.
I learned it from them.
Wow. Whew, okay, we could probably like end the call with that, and yet we're not going to. Decision skills honed. So what came to mind for me when I saw this one was around how people make decisions, but so much of it is connected to not only that purpose that you mentioned, but also their values. So talk to us about that one.
When you go to the next level, you're going to get challenged in your decision making. You're going to have to make decisions that may not go along with the flow. Think about that. Think about that, because I'm sure you guys have made decisions where everybody told you you shouldn't do that. That's not the way. So you've got to be strong enough within inside you to make a decision that's in alignment with what you want to create. For example, when I left AT&T and I was a single parent, everybody said, I don't think you should do that. And internally, they were reflecting what I was thinking. Am I ever going to be able to succeed outside of a big corporation at the level I could within it?
Yeah.
So I had to but my gut was saying, time to go. And here was the sign. They gave us $10,000 to start a business, plus a step-away package. When they said the $10,000 to start a business, I pretty much knew time to go, because there were things I wanted to create. So and I want you to think about this. How many people really are in alignment with their purpose when they make a decision, their priorities, their perspective, the values? They a lot of times know the facts and the numbers, but these other things are put to the side. And then there is that gut level feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're out on the balcony, on the edge of the balcony, getting ready to jump into a new life, a lot of people forget you intuitively know when you're making a decision that's right for you. So it's getting people back in touch with that intuitive feeling.
Mm.
And I've had the opportunity to work with people who are going through recovery, and we worked on this. And it's amazing the pictures that people drew of what it feels like when they step into that zone where they're unstoppable. I called it your all zone. And it's amazing what people came back with. You've got to know that feeling. And you get so good at it that you can tell even if just one piece of what you're getting ready to do is not quite right.
Mm.
So, a lot of times because you're in fear, you'll jump into something that you think is right, but it's not quite right. So to me, that intuitive feeling, along with the other components that I said, has to be in alignment. And that takes practice.
Mm-hmm.
It takes practice to do that, especially when you're jumping into something new. You've got to put those components together, and you will get faster and faster at doing it. However, I think I found that I had to dissect that with people in order for them to make decisions, because I can't make the decision. I can tell you what I know based on what you've told me, but it has to come from the person.
Yeah.
Because they're going to intuitively know or feel something that I might not pick up on.
Mm.
Cherie, I can tell you that some of the best coaching that I've had is where the coach, after establishing purpose, whether it's personal, financial, future, they always say, Terry, is that decision in alignment with your end game or your goal or your purpose, right? Or your passion, like the decision you want to make, just because all of these opportunities have been thrown at you. Is that in alignment with the end, where you want to be? And if you just ask that one question and leave people to think on that, this is what you're talking about. This is where it interfaces, right? And you may know that whether or not they really know their passion or not.
Exactly. To me, all of those components, they need to be able to have those components, because I want to equip people to be unstoppable. If those components aren't really written down, or I would say written down, and they're thinking through them, then how are we really going to create that unstoppable zone at the level that I think is possible?
Right.
Mm.
Right.
Mm.
Well, it requires a tremendous amount of awareness. You've got to know yourself. And like you said, you've got to know what that feeling is, right? And I think that,
Yes.
sometimes I can speak for myself in knowing that there was a time in life where I think that I allowed others to mute that intuition inside of me. And
Yes.
and the day that I realized, wait a minute, that's where my power is listening to that voice and gaining that awareness. And that takes, depending upon what your journey has been, that takes a tremendous amount of, I believe, courage, but also work to have that awareness to be able to get to that, what you're talking about. And it definitely is a power place for sure.
It is. And to me, again, if the goal is to cause people to be unstoppable, that has to be in place.
Mm-hmm.
And it does take practice. And once you start creating from there and you realize the power of it, I think you would never go back the other way. You'll be tempted.
True.
That's the process of practicing.
Right. Wow. Man. Okay.
Do we want to talk about life balance mastered, or can we even shortly talk about that?
I think we can. And the only reason I'm going to push a little bit on that one is because from what I can see right now, that's the one I've been working on a lot with people, more than normal, because of all the things that are going on in our environment.
Mm-hmm.
Again, how do you when you're at bat, how do you always knock it out of the ballpark if you're not coming from a balanced place?
Mm-hmm.
And there is a way, and that's what I'm looking for, to teach people how to come from that centered place. And so in order to do that, you have to understand when you're in balance. What is it like internally and externally? How do you know you're in balance? How do you know when you're out of balance? And I have people define this. What happens internally? What happens externally?
Yeah.
Because I want them to recognize that. How many people do you think take time to know that?
Not many.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, exactly. And really to be a master of your life, you want to do it from a balanced, centered place.
Yeah.
And so I also work with them on, okay, how do I get back in balance? What is my process?
Mm-hmm.
And you can't, that is not a uniform process. It's unique to the individual.
Mm-hmm.
Very unique.
Yeah.
So they have to design it and cause it.
Right. Yeah.
And and I'm not sure I mentioned this in the book because I've kind of added this one. It's what is your snap back strategy? Because you've got to pull yourself back really quick. What is the way to do that? Like I can walk outside and there's something about being outside in touch with nature. It brings me back immediately. I don't know what it is, but it happens every time. So you've got to know yourself well enough I see you raising your hand, Debbie.
Uh-huh.
You got to know yourself well enough to be able to stay centered. I don't know about you, but if I'm centered, and tell me for yourself, when I'm centered, how well do you make decisions?
Oh,
It's much easier.
much easier.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So if I don't know that, and if I'm playing, I want to knock it out of the ballpark. So I know if I'm not centered, it's not going to work. And so I'm always looking at somebody when I'm working with them. Are they in balance? Have I got a person who's in balance? And it's tougher and tougher, in my opinion, to remain in balance because so many things are changing.
That is so true. And I love the fact, you know, what I like about what you just said is I think people might believe that being life balanced, having that mastered means that you never get out of it. And the reality is that we're going to get out of it. And so that snapback strategy, whoo, I love that. That's powerful to just know. And I was raising my hand, and Terry knows this, of how nature is what gets me back. There are a few things that and I know what they are that get me back in balance. And when the weather is not what it needs to be for me, I tend to get a little off kilter. I'm off balance because every single day, my favorite room in the house is my patio outside. I know that sounds crazy, but it's like, it's an extension of that. And it's really important to me. And it's the whole reason why I moved my office where I moved my office was because I needed to see outside, because I needed to have that connection. So I love that snapback strategy. That's powerful.
That is powerful.
Right. And you know, people, when you talk about this, they may be hesitant to slow down and get these pieces, but this to me is critical, that you do and understand when you're balanced. I think it stops you if you aren't. You are more like, to me, it's about being a warrior of your life. This allows you to be a warrior because you're in your best fighting form.
Man.
Can coffee be a snapback?
Jerry, I love
kidding.
it. It could be. No, but I'm not kidding you. It could be. I think I've met people. It can bring you back. That's what I'm saying. It's unique to every person. I'm like you, Debbie. If I walk out of my backyard, because I had the ugliest backyard there was, and we've created this oasis out there. I walk out there, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I don't care what's happened. I'm fine.
Yep.
So you've got to know that about yourself. I want you to think about it. How many of the people that you get the opportunity to work with do you think know that and know when they're out of balance?
I think sometimes they know they're out of balance, but they're not sure what to do to get back in balance, because I don't think they have the awareness to know where's my energy source come from, right? And that's what that is. How do I, or it it's paying attention to what does it feel like when you're not in balance versus what does it feel like when you're in balance. Like they've got to know both sides. And
Yes.
yeah, I don't know.
And when you're working with people, you can take sections of this and create it with them. Like, how do you know you're out of balance?
Mhm.
What goes on around you when you're out of balance? Chaos, right? Or
Right.
whatever. So to me, you're empowering someone to know that kind of information about themselves. And it falls into the category of personal leadership.
Yeah, for sure.
You want to bring your A game, and that's how you bring your A game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. I love it. Okay, just because of time, Cherie, and man, we could go on we might have to do a 2.2 of this one, Terry.
Yeah. I'm taking too many notes.
We've
This
done
is like a
before.
coaching session.
It is. So when I don't know if this is the right way to ask the question, Cherie. But I guess is there one of these 8? We haven't mentioned all 8 of them. That's a teaser. Get the book. Get the workbook. Honestly, people, this is
The
like
word book.
the word
Yeah.
workbook.
Yes.
But is there one, Cherie, that just I don't know, it just lights you on fire when you either get to coach in that area or just see somebody that really becomes unstoppable? I mean, I know that's your passion, and I'm just curious if, for lack of a better way of putting it, what's your favorite, or what's the one that brings you just the most joy to see people demonstrate?
I think it is when they discover their purpose, because there is an energy connected with that and a dream that may have never been spoken. And that your dog has that, obviously. But I'm just going to say this. I don't know, my dog does. Anyway, it's when they hit that energy and you experience it with them, it's a magical place. And when you think what the impact on the world is out of that, that energy lifts everybody around them up because they see the possibility.
It's funny you say that, Cherie, because Debbie and I were talking about it yesterday. You just said the feeling you get with them, however, they don't probably understand the impact that they are having on the world, right? It's not just about them and their family. It's generational. It's a legacy. I mean, it becomes a part of who they are. And if everyone in this world could connect with that, how powerful would the world be, right?
That's my dream.
Wow. Well, I have one more question based on what we've talked about as a whole, because like Debbie said, we could like take this chapter by chapter and go through it and ask you questions. That would be really selfish of us. But what do you see from your experience that causes some people to rise to those levels of success and become unstoppable, and those that don't? And that is a question in your book on page 10 that you write. And I'm just curious, what's the difference between those that do and those that don't?
I think it's in everybody to be unstoppable. I believe there's a purpose within everyone. So either you're around someone who demonstrates it, or I can think of a person I know really, and she's out creating a food location where people can come to eat because they don't have any food. Mm-hmm. I just think the desire to make an impact in the world gets bigger than any of your limitations is another way. It could be because you've hit the wall so hard.
Yeah.
And not achieving what you want, or you're unhappy. And by the way, a lot of people are in jobs, I think it was 87% that I've seen figures on that, are in jobs they don't like. So it can be a lot of different ways that it occurs. but I always think inside of you that purpose burns, and you may have not admitted that to yourself, because most people find it once you give them a process to find it fairly quickly. Has been my experience.
It's like giving them permission to express it, right?
Yes. And I went to some training where we went out, and I was working on this a long time ago, and I went into the second grade, and you could see it, and I was working with kids, and you could see where they were shut down already in expressing themselves. So the more we do this it is a childlike energy that comes up out of this. Because you don't see any limits, you don't feel them. And I don't know, that's my hope, that that's what occurs in the world, that we activate that at a very high level.
Wow.
So, Cheiri, when are you going to write Unstoppable for Kids?
You know what? I started. And the first book was The Man in the Moon and the Star Ponies. And it's based on the concepts that I learned from working with the people that we've had the opportunity to work with, high performers, people who really want to create things in the world. And so that's the first in the series. I'm working on the second one. It's called Gabriel and the Two Angels.
Oh.
Yeah. So these concepts are going to come through those books.
Wow.
And it's magical. It's magical to learn that whole process.
Well, that is, man, I love that. And I know it touches Terry's heart as well, knowing knowing how important
I've seen those grandkids.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's, and actually I got both of them, or all three of them, your book. So, for the kids. So it was just, it was really great. Well, Cheiri, I don't even want to end this conversation, and yet I know that our time is running close. So talk to us, just tell us how people can get a hold of your book and your material and anything else about all about Cheiri.
It is in different bookstores, but it is on Amazon, and you can put my name in or the book title and it will come up. It's also on BookBaby. I did self-publishing and partnered with BookBaby. And I'll give them a plug. They were really, really good. Awesome. And so you can buy it on BookBaby, but they have several places where they distribute. I don't know about you all, but I'm an Amazon person. So
yeah, I know. I get everything from Amazon. Yeah. Amazon knows my address by heart. So for sure. Yes, absolutely.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, again, the name of the book is You Are Unstoppable. And the one thing that that I just want to express, Cheiri, is thank you for being an example of that, being unstoppable in my life. And this has just been so good. So good. I can't wait for the one for kids, honestly.
Me either. And I just want to thank you for helping me create the space in my thinking that allowed me to go out, especially around money and the scarcity thinking that I had around it, and helped me pull my passion out of what does money really need to mean. And the life I have is because of a very specific year. And you were one of the people that were involved in it. And God's good. So thank you, Cheiri.
Yeah.
You guys, thank you for the opportunity to be on this call today and to have had the opportunity to work with you individually. Blessings to me. Those are all blessings. And thank you for being unstoppable.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And, guys, just stay tuned. Follow Cheiri. Get the workbook, and we just want to thank you for tuning in to the Matters of Influence podcast. And you find us anywhere that you find your favorite podcast, and please share this. We want to help Cheiri with her passion of helping as many people be unstoppable as possible, and I think the world needs more of that for sure. So like us, give us a review if you like, share us with others. And Terry, anything else before we close it out?
Yes, please join us on social media, on Instagram, on Facebook. Mattersofinfluence.com is our website. Please go find some things there. We might be able to even upload some material from Cheiri that might give them a little bit of a download that they might want to choose to look into there. So We love you guys, and please share and follow.
All right.